Hello, everyone. It looks like there was an issue with Carla's mic this time, so if you hear a little bit of echoing or the sound quality isn't quite as good, that's why. Now, on to our reading. From Across the Frontiers by Werner Heisenberg. Not only is the universe stranger than we think, it is stranger than we can think.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. Today we are digging into Ariel's nonfiction pick, Communion by Whitley Strieber. This is Mallory, my own zombie nightmare mess this morning, and joining me is our abduction agent and my BFF, Ariel.
Don't worry, we believe you.
And our supreme overlord, Carla.
Raining as usual.
We are recording from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. Zach, the one and only alien clone, is joining us from Seattle, Washington.
We come in peace.
I was not prepared for that.
Before we get to it, you can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians podcast, which is linked to our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. You should give us a follow on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library and give our podcast Goodreads page a look, which we have linked in our episode descriptions along with our personal Goodreads pages. All right, Ariel, let's get to it.
All right. Okay, so I picked Communion because I'm petrified of aliens. Like, the whole idea of it terrifies me. But, it didn't scare me reading this book. So, spooky season reads has been a dud.
Yeah, I watched some interviews with him. Okay,
so this book covers Whitley's life and some experiences that he had in, I think it was 1984 or 86. I forgot to bring the book, so I'm not 100% sure on the dates here.
Mm-hmm.
But 84, you think? Okay. So if anybody has a true story about aliens, I believe this guy.
Yeah.
Because he did so much research into this.
Wow.
His first experience that he remembered was December 26th. He remembered being taken and having physical tests done on him. He remembers them doing an operation on him, sticking something behind his ear that looked like a needle.
Ooh.
He remembers getting his finger cut, and he remembers having something inserted into his anus.
No zone.
And it did not stay there. They took that out, but the other things, they left.
Oh my goodness.
And the reason that he remembered this was, it was absolutely terrifying for him, which, obviously it would be.
Yeah.
But he was screaming at one point, and the aliens were freaking out, and they're like, "What can we do to make you stop screaming?" And he said, "Let me smell you."
Oh.
And I get that you are absolutely petrified at this point, and you are just living for instincts, essentially. But the idea that that's what came out of his mouth. And he even himself was like, I'm not entirely sure why I asked that, but that the smell of them came back to him.
Oh my.
And apparently a lot of people, and himself included, have a memory of them smelling somewhat sulfurish. Yeah. So
I've heard that
weird.
from a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also kind of kinky.
But he had a event prior to that in October, I think it was October 4th, where they came to his house, or his cabin, I guess. He has an apartment and then he has a cabin. So he was at the cabin with his wife, his son, and a couple of their friends. And he woke up in the middle of the night because of a bright light. And his brain thought the roof was on fire because it didn't make any sense why there would be this bright light. And that was the only thing he could come to terms with, was that maybe the roof was on fire. So he wakes his wife up. He's like, the roof is on fire. And she doesn't really wake up. And they both go back to sleep instantly. They just go back to sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And then he wakes up again and he feels like there's people in the room with him, but he can't really remember any of this. And he there ends up being a loud banging sound. He described it as the clap of thunder, but without any echo.
Oh.
And everybody in the house heard it. And his son woke up screaming. So he went to go take care of his son and put him back to sleep. And then they woke up in the morning and everything was good. Right? So these are the two experiences that he remembered that started him into looking for a psychiatrist who also did hypnosis, because he was convinced that he had lost his mind. So he did a lot of research trying to find a hypnotist that had good reviews, that didn't try to sway hypnosis in one way or the other, and was just very professional about it. And he ended up finding this man called Don Klein, who did hypnosis on him. I think they did 4 or 5 hypnosis sessions.
Yeah.
Where he talks about what happens on October 4th, and then he talks about what happens on December 26th. And while he's remembering some of the stuff, I believe, on October 4th, he remembers that things had happened to him when he was a child. So multiple times, these aliens have come to visit him. And he says that there are 3 distinct types with a few mutations thrown in there. But the one that he sees the most, he refers to her as feminine. And he says that she resembles Ishtar. Yeah, from an Indian goddess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cover of the book shows basically what he sees, what she looks like. She's kind of a leather tan color. She has the very large slanted eyes, a large head. The nose is not very prominent, and it just kind of is very slightly elevated and has slits. And the mouth is very simple, almost no lips, and it's just kind of a straight line.
Yeah.
So that's what she looks like. And there's times when he's describing what he's seen and what they're doing to him, and it's just kind of insane. Like at one point, they have him up in their spaceship, and this is the time when they did the operation on him. But at one point, she's like, "Can you get harder?" And he's like, "What?" And she like points down, and he looks down, and he's like, "No, not with you here." Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Right. So like,
that's not weird or anything.
It's weird. But the part that really kind of was like crazy to me was during the operation. She's like, "We're going to do an operation on you." And he's like, "No, you can't." And she's like, "We're going to." He's like, "You don't have the right." And she says, "Yes, we do." And the way that he came to terms with that, it was kind of like how we feel that we have the right over animals to do certain things. You know, like we have the right to train them. We have the right to take them to the vet.
Yeah.
We have, all these rights to decide whether, they need to lose their leg because it got broke in a horrible way.
Yeah.
That's our right to choose. So that's how he feels that they think that.
Yeah.
He ends up getting his wife to go under hypnosis because she remembered the October 4th event. And this is after he interviewed his 2 friends who also remembered the October 4th event, which made him think that, maybe he's not actually crazy and this stuff is actually happening. And she can't remember anything, like very, 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 very little. It's like there's a mental block in her head, even with hypnosis. And she's like, "It's my role to make sure that he's okay after these experiences." Right? So that's her role. That's what they have taught her to do, essentially, is to be like, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry about it," and go on about their daily lives after he mentions something crazy to her.
Yeah.
Like at one point he's like, "I flew around the room last night," or "There was a giant crystal in the sky," or "I saw an owl outside our window," which is what he calls screening memories.
Yeah.
So like when a really traumatic event happens, your mind will place something else there.
Yeah.
To like keep you from like reliving that. And I'm going to be honest, after watching The Fourth Kind and the owls are part of that, I don't like owls. They freak me out.
No, The Fourth Kind was legitimately creepy. It was a very creepy movie.
It was
and
incredibly
owls,
creepy.
For a while afterwards.
They are. A lot of people remember owls. I mean, other people remember like rabbits or deer or stuff like that, but owls are pretty common. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Terrifying. Owls freak me out. I never want to see one in the wild. No. Anyways, so he kind of goes into the memories from back when he was a child. And he said he always remembered what was a skeleton riding a motorcycle. And that made no sense to him, but that's all he could remember. And it was when he was camping in his like backyard with his sister and I think his cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And the tent collapsed and they all got scared and ran. And he always remembered that. So his sister always remembered a green fireball coming down out of the sky. And he remembered a skeleton on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
His sister even went to his mom and she was like, we saw a fireball. And his mom was like, don't worry about it. It's just a fireball. Like, what?
Oh my, okay.
So he ended up remembering that night. And the skeleton on a motorcycle was actually this alien that he said resembled close to a giant praying mantis. Right? Praying mantises are freaky anyway.
I love them. But I don't think I would like to see a very, very large one. No. I think I'd be fine.
That would scare the crap out of me. I've been bit by a praying mantis. So like that's all I could think would be, oh my God, it's going to eat my head.
Oh, well, yeah. Well.
You know?
Well, there's that movie on the Sci-Fi Channel where it had, what's that B-movie guy?
Jerry Seinfeld?
He was in Evil Dead. No, the dude in Evil Dead.
Oh.
Anyway, him.
The main guy in Evil Dead?
Yes.
Oh, man. I see his face, but I can't
Is
remember
it with
his
the
name.
chainsaw guy? It's like he has the chainsaw arm. What is his name? It's like he is so famous.
Yes.
He is famous. I don't know his name.
He was on Burned.
The character's Ash Williams. I know that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the dude's name is. Bruce Campbell. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's a movie with Bruce Campbell on this Sci-Fi Channel that was there for a while ago when we used to watch the bad sci-fi movies, and it literally had the praying mantis aliens that would eat people's heads.
Well, see, that, kind of like a thing. So I talked about the feminine one that he sees. So there's those type. He calls them the thin ones. They're tall and graceful, and they're very thin, and they have very simple joints and bodies. He's like, they're not complex at all.
Yeah.
Right. So then there's the praying mantis ones, which terrifying. And then there are the short ones. They're maybe 4 feet tall at most, very stocky. And he thinks of them, in his mind, he thinks of them as the good army. Now,
okay,
that's just what, like, he says it doesn't seem like they're getting orders or being told what to do. They're just doing their job. And that's all they're doing, And he says that the aliens, when they, take him, because his wife said that he goes in the night a lot and it's her job to just wait.
Yeah.
Right. So like he's been taken so many times and he doesn't remember all of them. But the short ones are the ones that come into his room and escort him essentially out or, whatever. So he's had like all these things happen to him. The praying mantis one when he was a child. I know I'm going kind of all over the place here, but it's just, this is kind of how the book reads. It goes all over the place.
Yeah.
He runs from them and they start weaving something into his hair and he doesn't know what it is. But it relaxes him and he's like, okay, this is a good place to lay down. So he just lays down and lets them continue doing what they're doing. And then they leave. And then he goes inside with his sister and his cousins and they end up sleeping on the porch instead. So like crazy stuff. He said that the first memory that he really has that really, really scared him though when he was a child was he went, I can't remember where he was going. He was going to see a friend or a family member or something like that. But his dad and his sister and him were on a train. And then they all of a sudden weren't on a train. And he's sitting there in this examination room, just chilling. He's cool. He's vibing. And he looks over and he sees his sister and his sister looks dead. And that freaks him out.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, why does she look like that? And the aliens are like, oh, she's fine. And then he kind of looks around and there's like all these people laying on these beds and just looking dead. They're not dead, but they look it. And he sees his dad and his dad freaks out. He is trying to scream, but he's so scared he can't scream. And you hear him go, Daddy, it's okay. It's okay. And he's getting more and more scared seeing his dad being scared.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, it's not okay, Whitty. It's not.
Oh my gosh.
And that's all he's got from that memory.
Yeah, that one is pretty, that would definitely be, as a kid?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he says a lot of times his memories, they have him eat things and it makes him sick. So then they give him something and make him eat whatever it is again. So it'll stay down.
So it's essentially animal testing.
It's a lot like that. Yeah. And he ended up at the end of the book interviewing, I think it was like 10 other people in the area who have experienced these things. And they all kind of have this sense of like loyalty to them. And they say that there's always one that feels like a protector. But
loyalty to the abducting aliens.
Yes.
Right.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
And that they didn't really want to talk about what happened to them. It was very traumatic and very scary. But they all feel like the aliens also have a sense of fear of us. Like they're very, very scared of us.
Yeah.
And he said that it feels like scientists trying to discover and test things and figure things out.
Yeah.
And he said that's how it feels. It doesn't feel like they're superior to us. It just feels like, they're trying to figure out who we are, what we are. And there's a lot of instances where people will be told, you won't remember this for 5 years. And then 5 years later, that's when the memories start coming back. And they remember that. They've been told how to do certain things, like how to create certain things. Like Whitley was told how to make a certain kind of engine. And when he was 13 years old, he tried to make it in his room and it ended up exploding and almost burning his house down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because he's like, I did it correctly, but we don't have the same things they do. Right. But he does the hypnosis, and he was very adamant to not read anything about UFOs or aliens prior to these hypnosis sessions because he didn't want his experience influenced in any way because he was trying to figure out if he was crazy. And he ends up interviewing some people. He does research into government stuff. Now, granted, this book was wrote and out before the government admitted the aliens are real.
Yeah, yeah.
Way before.
Yeah. So, and he's talking about all these different experiences that people had. And a lot of people say that, this started when they were about 4 or 5 years old, right? That's when the aliens started coming visiting them. And if they have children, they go and visit their children. Like Whitley said that there's been times where his son will be like, oh, the doctors came and took me out on the porch and did an operation on me. And he's like, the green light would let them see through my skin and see what was going on. He's like, and the orange light would be like an x-ray machine, and this light kept me calm and not moving and all this stuff like that. Okay. Aliens absolutely terrify me, right?
Yeah.
We know this. Everybody knows this. I have strict rules. The idea of an alien abducting me and doing things to me is awful. Like, it scares the crap out of me. I could not function if I knew an alien was coming and doing things to my child.
Yeah.
Like, I know I've said it before, but I watched The Fourth Kind when I was 18, right? And then I've always had this ingrained fear after that aliens will take my children. I remember when me and Michael first started talking, that was one of the things we talked about. I was like, you don't have to worry about me being worried of an intruder. If some person comes into my house, I'm going to mess them up.
Yeah.
But some alien comes in my house and tries to take my children, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
According to Whitley, you can't do anything. They essentially paralyze you and you can't do anything.
Yeah,
But
wow.
I would just die. My heart could not take that. So, I don't know. But I honestly believe that he had these experiences.
Yeah.
We know aliens are real. And if you don't believe in them, you're just dumb. But, seriously, the universe is so big. Even bacteria would be alien to us.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that aliens aren't real. Now, are they advanced enough to come to our planet and abduct people? That I don't know for sure.
Right.
I am 95% believing that they, do.
Agreed.
But yeah, so this book, it did not scare me, honestly. And I felt more comfortable with the idea of aliens after reading it, which sounds insane.
It kind of surprises me, actually.
It surprised me too, but I said it was good because it's good, but also bad, I guess.
Okay, because I think the reason I'm more comfortable with it, obviously they still terrify me, and I would still die if I ever saw one. The idea that they're not aggressive, I think, is what it is. Because they don't seem aggressive. They seem like they just don't get it. He talks a lot that it seems like they might have a hive mind.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't understand the individuality and the freedom that we have and the respect that we have for having that freedom and individuality.
Mostly anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. So he thinks that they don't understand how terrifying to have that control taken from us. Is, right? Which is completely possible.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the idea that they're not aggressive and they're trying to just figure us out, but also slowly introduce themselves to us isn't as terrifying, I guess, to me. Now, with the fourth kind, when I watched it, that seemed aggressive. That seemed terrifying and horrible, and that's how I usually imagine them.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to test on you because we're sadists or whatever,
Yeah.
And like, like when we test animals, like it's like when we were like, oh, babies don't have feelings.
Yeah.
Or, fish don't have nerve endings, you'll be fine.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like stuff like that. Like that is just absolutely appalling to me.
Animals don't feel pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the idea that they're not like that is okay. Now he did mention one alien that's not part of the three. And the only reason he really remembered it is because his wife remembered it.
Oh.
Which was weird. And she said during her hypnosis that she felt like it messed up because it came in and it poked her in the stomach. Yeah. And then it poked Whitley and then it poked their son and it showed itself to the babysitter. Yeah. Yeah. She said it looked like the babysitter said it looked like a kid in a sheet, like a ghost. Right. But she said that wasn't right.
Yeah.
That it was more square shaped and it had tiny little feet. And she feels like that it, had messed up its plans by showing or revealing itself to them because she felt like maybe it had gotten impatient or something like that, and she's not supposed to remember. Like at one point on, I think it was October 4th. Yeah, it was the October 4th event. She thought her son was screaming at first, right? And she wanted to get up and go to him.
Yeah.
But she wasn't supposed to. So she stayed in bed and it really bothered her because she was not supposed to get up. She was like, it's like when your mother says, stay here, I'll be back.
Yeah.
You want to see what's happening, but your mom told you to stay, so you stay.
Yeah.
So, and then later she said that it wasn't her son, it was Whitley who was screaming and she could see his face and he was absolutely terrified. And she remembered hearing a woman's voice trying to soothe. So, yeah, craziness. Crazy.
See, I found this book horrifying when I read it, but I read it back in the mid 80s.
Fresh.
And this was way before all this stuff was mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all like a whole new concept for me.
Yeah.
And I found it absolutely terrifying. I slept with every light in the house on for a month. It's hard to sleep like that. I think the one line in this book that terrified me the most was when he's screaming, they're coming through the walls.
See, he didn't say that in that.
Nowhere. Where did I hear this?
No, he didn't say that.
Because it's like you have no control. It's the lack of control.
I mean, there is a lack of control, but he never says that in that book. So I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I got that one from somewhere else. But the book scared me.
Yeah.
Really bad. And it was the lack of.
There is a lack of control.
I was even thinking of ways to like design a house so they couldn't get through the walls. I was going to run like electric wires and stuff like to make like a grid. I'm serious.
Short out the power though.
Well, that's and also that would create a Faraday cage basically, which induces fear, which would have been a really bad idea. But I mean, it's like I didn't know anything about electricity, so I thought, well, maybe if you electrify everything, they can't get to you because it was like they were coming from somewhere else.
Yeah,
and using like a transporter or
See, he talks about what he thinks that he's like, I don't know if they are from here, and he had a lot of theories about what they could be. One of which was that they're from here and it's just the adult form of human and we're in the larva stage. Right? So like we're caterpillars.
That's a hot take.
That really is.
Yeah, we're caterpillars. When we die, that's the cocoon phase. And then when we become aliens.
Okay, but here's my question.
Where is he getting this from?
I don't know. That's just, he was...
Trauma.
He was just really trying to justify what this stuff is, trying to figure it out. He said that he thought maybe that it was like more of a time travel thing, that they're from the future and they travel back in time. He said maybe they can only travel because we believe in them. Like our minds are the doorway.
Well,
like he just had a lot of different theories about what they could be. And I mean, we don't know what they are. We don't know what they could be. But I mean, there's sightings of weird things, aliens, whatever, all the way back to like 300 AD.
Yeah.
Like at one point he talks about, I think it's in like the 1200s in Japan. They watch something in the sky and then in the morning the emperor or whatever sends out troops And they said, it's just the wind making the stars sway. Right? Which, I mean, for that time period, that's about all you can do.
Actually, back during that time period, was it Japan or China?
Japan.
They were much more advanced, so that would have been even bogus then.
Oh, well, then, I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. So back to this whole larva stage, that's kind of really cool. But also, what if you cremate yourself?
You just did.
No growing up for you.
You done. Thank you.
Good. I won't be.
But also, it makes you wonder because, if people exhume bodies later.
Yeah. See, that's...
I mean, maybe it's just the soul moving on.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, then maybe cremating yourself wouldn't matter. I don't know. That's... Ew, I don't like that.
Fast track it.
Yeah. Fast track it.
Fast track it. You don't have to wait for your body to decompose. Yeah. Fast track it.
Most bodies are not in good shape when they die.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting take on it for sure. There was one, I feel like I would be like this girl. I think she went by Sarah in the book. Now that's not her real name. They didn't use her real name.
Yeah.
But she was mad at the alien. And she's like, I want them to talk to me about what they're doing to me.
Yeah.
She's like, I want that respect. And if they're not willing to offer that, then I want nothing to do with them.
I mean, I get that, really.
And she's like, I have no loyalty to them. I don't care about them. She's like, I don't want them around.
Yeah.
And I was like, I vibe with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, that was my first thought. It's like, oh my God, how do you protect yourself? How do you keep them from messing with you?
I don't think, how do I protect myself? I think, how do I protect my kids?
Well, I didn't have any kids at the time.
Yeah. We weren't born yet.
No. But it's like, how do you stop it? It really affected me.
And I mean, I get showing themselves slowly to us because humans are insane. We will automatically be like, we don't understand this. Let's dissect it. We would do the same thing to them that they're doing to us.
Oh, yeah.
Only I don't think that we would be nearly as kind about it,
No.
which is
No.
really the thing.
See, and then every child that gets abducted and talks about it, like it's terrifying for them, obviously, because that's a horrible event. But they're always so like, we won't hurt you.
Yeah.
We're okay. This is, just showing ourselves to you, or, every account that, of a child in this book, it's that they're always so incredibly nice to children.
Well, there's at least that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, based on the way that this guy was describing this stuff, I'm not entirely sure why they need to study us or what they are even attempting to study, because it sounds like they have a pretty good control over how our bodies work, given that they can paralyze you and also make you forget things.
I think it's the, like, if it is the hive mind thing, I think that's what they would be trying to figuring out why are we so different? How do we have this
Why are we
individual-
not a hive mind?
Yeah, why are we not a hive mind?
Yeah. Or maybe they're also trying to gauge how advanced we are.
Yeah.
I mean, if they've been doing this for a long time, I'm sure they've seen differences in things.
His son said that he had a disease on his arm and that they cured it for him.
Huh.
Yeah, clearly they have very good understanding of our physiology,
Yeah.
if this is true. I don't think any of this is true. I don't think this guy actually happened to this guy, but...
No one's surprised.
Nope.
Well, no, because he doesn't know about it until he goes through hypnosis, and you can implant memories with hypnosis,
Well, no,
or recover fake memories with hypnosis.
In the book, he has the entire transcript of the hypnosis. Everything that was said.
Doesn't matter. There's recovered memories. Do you guys remember the Satanic Panic? Well, obviously we don't remember it, but you guys are aware of the Satanic Panic, yeah?
I don't think so.
Okay, so back in, I think it was the 80s? When was the Satanic Panic? Let me look here. No, it was in the 90s, I'm pretty sure.
Sounds like a good band name, though.
It does sound like a good band name.
Satanic Panic?
Yeah.
It was, basically there was everybody thought that there were people having like ritualistic sacrifices, satanic
I
worshiping,
remember
all
that.
this good stuff. And the evidence for it was children telling stories about this stuff after going through like repressed memory hypnosis.
I mean,
stuff,
I get
right?
that
Recovery, repressed memory recovery.
He even talks about in the book that, he went and found a hypnotist because that he thought wouldn't do something like that because he knew it was a thing.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the book, he also has polygraph tests,
Yeah.
and he said, and he would not read anything alien or UFO related while doing this hypnosis stuff because he didn't want anything that anybody else had said to influence his memories. And after, the hypnosis and finding all this stuff, he went and researched. And a lot of the stuff that he said was the same things that other people described.
See, I think that's the kicker. It's like because independently people were reporting the same things. And even some of the researchers didn't realize that there was this similarity.
I feel like it's just in the zeitgeist of the country.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I really think that over such a long span of time, we've been so spread out. Like, I don't know that you would keep...
The fact that even back in like 300 AD that we're seeing stuff
across the planet.
Yeah, 1200, whatever, in Japan, and like we always describe them looking the same.
Yeah. I think that's really weird.
Like
I don't think there's anything
the mineral cobalt blue
Yeah.
was named after the dwarves and goblins that lived in the mines that wore blue coveralls, just like the aliens do, the short little aliens that would be dwarf size.
Yeah.
Look at the descriptions of fairies from the
he talks about that a lot too.
Yeah.
He said that maybe the fairies in our lore are actually the aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's something going on. I don't think you can just discount something because it doesn't mesh with your personal viewpoint.
Yeah.
I think that there's something going on. I just don't think that people are actually being abducted by aliens or interdimensional beings or whatever. It doesn't make sense to me why any of the stuff that happens on these abductions or whatever happens the way it does. Nothing makes sense.
Well, you're not an alien, so you don't know their reasons.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean,
they could read books
Part
and
of
get
me
way
really-
more information than poking people.
Not necessarily. We say that, but we still do animal testing.
Even on stuff that we know
Yeah.
it's not going to do well. It's like, we're going to put this chlorine in rabbits' eyes. Again,
Just to see what
to
happens.
see if it still
Yeah.
bothers them. It's like, it's chlorine.
Yeah. So I think you're being dumb, Zach.
I think everybody's being dumb.
But
I don't know if
I don't know. I have trouble believing in hypnosis.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not really big
I
on
just
it
can't
either.
imagine being under somebody else's control like that.
I don't.
You know?
Mm.
But part of me is also like, I kind of want to do it because I wasn't scared of aliens until I was like, 16 or something? And then I was absolutely petrified of them. Like, what?
I mean,
what changed?
hypnosis is definitely something that it depends on the person who is getting hypnotized.
Agreed.
Because some people it does not work on at all.
Yeah.
And other people it does.
See, I don't think I
And
could
there's, like, tests you can
relinquish
do.
enough control over
I don't
myself.
think I could either.
No, I know I couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it.
Get me drunk first, maybe.
We all
then
say
maybe
this,
I
and
can
then
relax.
we can all be hypnotized.
But yeah, because I do wonder about that, about the fact that, I got so scared. And I remember hearing that, stereotypical noise of a UFO around that time. And then after that, I was absolutely petrified of them.
Yeah.
I would say if you ever do this sort of repressed memory recovery thing, record the entire session all the time because you want to make sure that,
Well, yeah.
there's
Yeah,
no
definitely.
sort of
I'll go with
influence.
They say that there's self-hypnosis stuff that you can do too. And I'm just like, that sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, that sounds like you can possibly get trapped in your brain.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, that just sounds bad. One of the girls in the book, she said she tried to do that. And she got so scared because she was remembering so many more details than she did with a regular hypnosis session. And she was like, nope, can't do this. And got herself out of it.
No way.
I do wonder how much of that is remembering versus sort of leading yourself to remember things that didn't actually happen.
Some of the things they remember, though, are so far out there that it's like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, one lady, she said that she remembered these certain boots with these like crystal soles, right, that you could see through. Never once thought something had happened to her until she read a book where a lady had talked about it and she was wearing these same exact shoes. And she's like, how? How did we both come up with the same exact thing? And that's when she started looking into like maybe something happened.
Especially trivial things like that.
Yeah.
They make no sense.
Yeah. Like why would that of all things?
There's 7 billion people on the planet. Nobody's got unique thoughts. It's not a thing.
And then another thing was this one woman, she didn't get abducted, but she was looking out her window and she saw essentially a spaceship, a flying disc or something like that, but it had 9 windows in it, which is weird that you remember that, but She says she saw one man standing there with a cigar in his mouth, and he was just standing there like a statue, not moving at all.
Okay.
And then in the next window was a woman in a white floral dress sitting there. And Whitley remembers a woman in a white floral dress and one of his experiences.
It's weird stuff.
Is it the Jetsons?
It is weird stuff. I just don't... It's the Jetsons.
You got to think of the time frame this happened and all this stuff.
I also think
began, like finding these repressed memories and stuff, is a time when aliens were not mainstream.
Mm-hmm. No, they were denied.
No, they
constantly.
weren't mainstream.
They weren't, not even a little bit mainstream.
No, they were denied completely.
Yeah.
They
you were
not
ridiculed
real.
and you were laughed at.
During one of the periods in the past, like in the 1500s or something like that, you got burned at the stake.
Yeah.
If you talked about it.
Yep.
So, it's like, it's a risk to say, hey, this happened to me.
Yeah. And I think, Zach, you need to
I
put
understand
aside
that. I don't
your
think that's a good enough
skepticism
reason.
and realize just how shitty people are and how we act with things that we, think we have the right to control, and think about how aliens would think that about us.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if aliens are here and they're doing this stuff to us, there's literally nothing we can do about it. Period.
Well, there's not.
Which is the scary part.
Yeah. And that's something he talks about. Read the book. You got
I'll
it.
read it, and I'll report back, and I'll be like, it's still real dumb. I don't believe it at all.
Was this one that we have?
It's a good story.
Maybe you shouldn't go in with that.
Ravenswood has it.
Ravenswood has it. Okay.
Ravenswood has it, yes.
Philosophy. Maybe you should go in with like, okay, I'll actually not think anything and just read a story and then see what I think, instead of like, there's no way I'm going to believe this.
Now, I am going to say, Zach, I would not listen to this one fast.
Oh, no, I have the Kindle book.
Okay, I was going to say, I got it on Audible also because I thought I'll listen to it while I drive so I can get through this book, because I was worried I wasn't going to finish it. I listened to maybe an hour of it and had to go back and actually read the book. Like, I just couldn't, like, I was reading it and I was like, okay, I remember this part. I don't remember this part.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much that he goes over. Like, and when he's like the hypnosis parts and when he's talking about what happened to him, those were actually interesting. And I got through those part really quickly. Now, when he went into the scientific part at the end, I hated that.
Yeah.
I was so bored.
Fair.
I was like, I don't want to read this.
Oh, just as a side note, I did Google that phrase that you mentioned, Mama.
Yeah.
About they're coming through the walls. I'm pretty sure that's from Aliens.
Aliens. Like from like
the movie Aliens.
Like Sigourney Weaver Aliens?
Yes. One of the guys says it.
Because that happened.
No, this is the funny part is you probably watched that movie around the same exact time you read this book.
Or right after or something, you never know.
Yeah, because Aliens came out in 86. This book came out in 87.
So yeah, you probably just...
Well, I don't think I read it in 80. See, when did I graduated from Marshall in about 87. So this would have been 88 probably.
Yeah,
but I read
there you
it.
go. I mean, it's...
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you probably just kind of mushed those together in your head.
It's almost like you conflated memories and made up a new one.
Maybe I did. I just made up a new one. But the terror is real.
I'm sure it is.
But I do remember sleeping for an entire month with every light in the house on.
Yeah, well, you also
Truman was
found
going to kill me.
Children of the Corn is scary. Amityville Horror is terrifying.
Time. We were not exposed to the horror and the movies that they're making now, or when you guys were younger.
No, this is the thing. Yeah.
I grew up with literally the Waltons and Andy Griffith and I Love Lucy. These were very mild. So it was a lot more horrifying when you saw something like that.
It wasn't there. It wasn't coming in the culture at the time.
Yeah.
It's like if you go back and watch any of the older horror movies from like the 50s and 60s, they're not scary at all for the most part.
No.
Aside from some of the like Twilight Zone episodes.
Some of these were just kind of freaky.
Those are freaky weird. Yeah, some of them.
I thought you were just going to stop at Twilight.
Yeah, especially Twilight, man. That was terrifying.
The acting was.
What's that?
Twilight.
Oh, God.
There was just like that little space of pause there. And I was like, okay, yeah, he kept going.
Me and Zach used to be scared of the X-Files intro. Something about
it's not
that
just
man.
A lot of kids.
The man with
falling
the hand. Oh my God.
It's not.
What about that was so terrifying?
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's awful.
You guys are afraid of hands. I was afraid of aliens.
It's like the Goosebumps intro with the dog that has the eyes that flash yellow.
Yeah.
That always freaked me out. Now, why
Yeah, that was
Because it was a
the worst
different
effect
time.
ever.
And also, I really didn't. I don't know if any of you watched Fringe, the TV show.
No.
That intro was also like always very creepy. It was pretty much always different, but man, it always creeped me out. It was just so. Ugh. It's a good show, just for everybody.
I don't want to say it was a more innocent time, but I think it was a more sheltered time.
It was definitely a more sheltered time.
Yeah.
At least as far as media goes, definitely, yeah.
Yes.
I watched, the Halloween movies when I was 8. And, Celebrity
Mama's House.
Deathmatch.
I was going to say, it wasn't me. It was like,
Deathmatch.
That was
No, we watched
good.
Celebrity Deathmatch was fantastic. Claymation was great.
Yep.
Yeah, we watched Halloween H2 at Mama Henry's house.
It was great. And then we watched the shark movies when we were little. We grew up on these like gore and stuff.
Yeah, well, I guess I did a little bit, but I really didn't. I stayed away from a lot of that stuff just because it was like I didn't watch stuff that made me cry, and I didn't want to watch stuff that made me scared. I was just like, please, no thanks.
happy,
It's like,
fun stuff.
Yeah. I remember one time my older brother was watching, Final Destination.
Oh my God,
And I was young. Like
I
I was
hate that
probably
movie.
7 or 8. I don't know really whenever it came out, but I was not an older kid. And I still
Which movie? Final Destination?
Final Destination.
I still have moments like my knives. I
Yeah.
turn them all blade down
Yeah.
in the distrainer because I'm like, what if I fall?
Mhm.
What if my kids fall?
Yeah, I think a lot of my just like general anxiety came from that
Yes.
movie because it was like there are so many things that could just happen.
Yeah.
And you have
just
no
die.
control over it.
Yep.
And it's just you never know.
The first 2 of those movies were actually fantastic.
Yeah,
They were.
after the second one, it kind of just goes downhill.
And then
but-
I watched them for the pure comedy of everything
Yeah.
about it because they were so funny
Yeah.
and all the kills were absolutely
Did you
ridiculous.
watch The Fourth Kind?
No.
It was scary.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. They're like, because they have actual video mixed in
They
with
claim it's actual video. I'm not convinced it is.
the story video
Yeah.
that they do. There's this one where a cop is sitting outside her house and you can see a UFO come over her house and then the video cuts off to static. And then there's another moment at the very end. Sorry, people, I'm going to ruin this for you. Where she's sitting on her couch and it's a light that's on her. I want to say there's a light on
Yeah.
her.
There's a light
And-
on her and there's like a really loud noise.
Yeah, and she starts screaming and her jaw essentially unhinges and dislocates itself. Oh my God. That sticks with I can still see that scene in my head.
Wasn't she messed up pretty bad at the end?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
she
like,
was
messed up.
physically messed up. And her kids were missing.
No.
They took her kids.
No.
Apparently that real footage was also not real.
Really?
What?
I figured it probably
Apparently.
wasn't because it's like the whole Blair Witch Project thing.
Oh my I
like,
hate that
that.
movie.
Oh man.
I was camping in my yard in a tent and I watched that.
I watched
And then-
yeah.
That is the worst possible place to watch that.
During the movie, one of our cats jumped on the tent.
Mm-mm.
Scared the crap out of me.
No.
I was in
watched
like
part of
7th
that.
grade when we did this.
Yeah.
It was me and Sheila. We watched Children of the Corn and she fell asleep. So I was like, well, I'll watch the Blair Witch Project by myself.
No way.
No big.
No way.
Yeah, that one scared me.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it because I want to say that my sister did some sort of project on it in high school or something. Honestly, I don't know. But she watched it like a couple of times.
Yeah.
And one of those times I watched it a little bit, but like I kind of quit because it was just so shaky and all that. It just was like,
yeah.
gross.
Like I couldn't watch it now because it would make me motion
Yeah.
sick. But
But I remember my sister the one time I watched a little bit of it with her. She was like, "This is not real, but they make it look real. So I just want you to know that." And I'm like,
yeah, it's like Paranormal Activity.
yeah. I was like, that doesn't help, but thank you.
So yeah. Anyways, aliens still scary.
Yeah. It is
But
kind of cool that you feel better about it though. Like,
Yeah, I
not,
mean,
like,
if
a
they
lot,
are
but-
like the ones in the book,
Yeah.
then it's not. I mean, it still would be absolutely
Yeah,
terrifying.
I
I'm not
agree.
saying it wouldn't be, but it's one of those things you might be able to learn to live with.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So I think that's the interesting thing too from the book. It's like at first he thought he probably was crazy.
Yeah, he
Because
did.
he was having partial memories of stuff
Mhm.
that didn't make any sense. So it wasn't like he went under hypnosis and all this stuff was like, oh, this is what happened.
Yeah,
It's
he
like,
had these partial memories
Yeah.
to begin with. And like he had, like there was at one point where he remembered someone sticking something up his nose. And the next day his nose was sore. So he went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, it looks like, you've had some slight tearing in your nasal passage and stuff like that. And then that was one of the things he remembered, them sticking something up his nose.
Rude.
There was another guy who had memories of them sticking a needle under his eye, going into the optic nerve. And somebody was like, wouldn't it be weird to see things through somebody else's eye? And I'm like, no. We're not doing that.
No.
So maybe that might be something they're trying to do too, is like be able to see how people interact and do everything through somebody else's eyes. Like he says at one point, he has this vision of the girl alien that he usually sees in his head, right? And he can't get rid of it. It's just there. But he can tell it what to do, be like, let me see your feet, and he's describing what she looks like to one of those, I don't know, artist people that
like the forensic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Describing what she looks like. And then a few months later, he describes it again and nothing has changed, which is kind of weird.
There's a consistency to the memories. It's like, it's not like change.
So after he sits down and he's thinking about this and, seeing this image, and he's like, I want to make contact. I want to see, and the following night they come and they stand in his room, and he's like, it's the short ones again.
Yeah.
And there's one that's in what looks like to him is a poorly made cardboard double-breasted suit. And he's like, I don't know if they're just trying to like make us feel more comfortable by wearing clothes that, people would wear. He's like, but they're out of date. This is from like the 50s.
Yeah.
And he can't hardly move. He doesn't have very much movement, but he's staring there, and he has enough control of himself and thought process of himself to be like, I need to communicate to them that I'm not aggressive.
Yeah.
So he looks at them and he decides, I'll smile. So he smiles at them and they leave. And that was it. He's like, I'm really glad that I didn't try to touch them.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to. He wanted to reach out and touch them.
Yeah.
But he chose not to do that because he was worried that it would come across as aggressive.
Yeah. I feel like also though smiling could be seen as aggressive. I mean,
yeah, depending on the
teeth.
smile.
Yeah.
Depending on the smile, yeah. I don't know. It was just...
No, any sort of showing teeth can be in some cultures, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just... It was a good book, but it didn't scare me like I thought it would.
I was full on expecting a lot of, oh my God, Mallory, I can't sleep. And
No,
I didn't get one.
I finished the book last night and I slept 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's more sleep than I usually get.
Yeah, you stole my sleep. It's rude.
So yeah, I don't know.
It sounds like a good book, though. I might give that one a shot. Zach, did you get yours like on Kindle Unlimited, or did you buy it on Kindle?
I bought it on Kindle. I don't have Kindle Unlimited.
I might have to.
I don't think it's on Kindle Unlimited, actually.
It might not be. What's it? Woman of No Importance was, which is why I asked. I thought that was kind of weird, but I'll take it.
But yeah, as far as nonfiction books go, this one's not bad. I hate nonfiction. I hate reading nonfiction.
The older I get, the better I like it.
I don't read to learn about the real world. I read to escape it.
I think there are cool things to learn about in the world, though. But yeah.
Boring. And give me some dragons. Give me Murderbot.
Before we get off here, have you guys heard about the Vedas from India?
No.
Possibly question.
They have entire histories. They consider them histories of the gods, which basically are kind of like Alien, having entire battles in the sky and cities being destroyed.
Well, see, they, at one point...
I mean, there is like a whole... I mean, it's like a whole story.
Yeah. There was one point in the book where he talks about back in like Renaissance times where they see...
Oh, they're in
these
paintings.
Things in the sky. And they were so jealous of them that they would kill you if they took you and brought you back. They made laws against these things in the sky because how dare they be better than the emperor or whatever, you know?
I want to say that I did watch some, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like Josh Gates or something like that. Honestly, I don't remember anymore. It's been so long. But I want to say that he went to somewhere over in India, or maybe it was somewhere else completely, but he went to like the top of this mountain, and they essentially were convinced that it was like an alien spot. And it's like a whole, I don't think it's like a cult, but it kind of has culty vibes. Like people from outside are not allowed in, and they essentially welcome and they try to reach out all the time to bring them back. And I was like, that's wild. And I want to say that they talked about stuff like that, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have to look into that.
People have a way, I mean, especially if the alien culture has really influenced them,
Yeah.
they will try to get it back. There was, I think it's World War II, when we had some of the islands in the Pacific, and there was a very, like, more primitive, and I don't mean like mentally, but like the way they lived.
Yeah.
Indigenous people on those islands. Well, when the military was there, they had all these extra things. Like they would get extra goods and things they had never seen before. And after the war was over and they left, they would still like build replicas of these planes trying to get, the gods or the aliens to come back and bring these things again.
Yeah.
And there were studies done on that. So, I mean, I guess we're kind of programmed to.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, this was a good thing. Come back. This is what, we can do.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do we have any final thoughts or anything else we want to talk about?
I think that if we discount everything because it doesn't fit with our current perspective on things, we run the risk of missing out or at times placing ourselves in danger. And I'm not talking just aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like if you're not aware of what's going on around you or you think, oh, that can never happen.
Yeah.
Well, history has shown us that, it probably can.
Definitely.
Yeah, so if you're terrified of aliens like I am, you can read this book. It's not too bad. Just throwing that out there. It is really good. And he does make, a lot of strides to like make people understand that, he doesn't know what this is.
Yeah.
He could still very well be crazy.
But something happened.
But something did happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I feel like that just makes it even more, a little bit more credible because it's like, I don't know what it is. This is what I think it is. And, I don't know. Make up your own mind, but I like that.
And that's what a lot of the people that went through this have said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they say that they're basically balancing on a razor's edge between it happened and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
They don't want to believe that it happened.
Yeah.
But they still somewhat believe that it happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Zach, anything else?
No, I got nothing.
Okay. Our next episode, we will be welcoming Danny with Spirit Walk Paranormal back for a spooky session, and we are excited to have him back. So I think Carla will get to be here for this one. So
yeah.
Very exciting. And then we will be following that episode with a curiosity or a conspiracy. Has anybody decided on that yet? Are we doing that one? Probably.
It's like, I think it's our turn.
Yeah, probably.
So good luck with that, guys.
Tune in for that fun. And then lastly, we will be heading into my nonfiction pick, Wicked Boy by Kate Summerscale. This one is a true crime via the Victorian era, and I'm pretty pumped to read it. I found this one the same time I found A Woman of No Importance, and it sounds fun. So that'll be fun. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's time for us to sign off, but before we are beamed up, I must remind you, only the best libraries have librarians who won't shush you.